Hi everyone, my name is Doug and I'm glad you guys all came here today for our last speech. I'm very excited to get it over with, coming like Saturday mornings are just not my thing. I like spending my time at home, but now I'm here and I'm going to talk to you about this interesting stuff. And I'm going to talk about our use of plastics. And our use of plastics hurt the earth and we are getting to the point where the damage is getting irreversible. The damage is getting to the point where we're not going to be able to recover anymore. One of the worst things for our environment is plastics. Of the 260 million tons of plastic the world produces each year, about 15% ends up in the ocean, according to the Greenpeace report. And hopefully everyone will learn something today about their use of plastics. And for me, because I'm going to let out my inner hippie today, I for one care about the planet and we live on, and I've always been concerned with how the planet is doing, considering it's the only place we have to live. I always worry that we're going too far and worry about the future. This is not a thing a person should worry about, and we should live in a healthy, peaceful planet. Peace. And today we can learn about certain plastics and what we can do to help, and learn about the long-term efforts of working on them, or reducing our uses of them, and plastic pollution. And a staggering 85% of all marine debris stems from land-based sources, according to the EPA. And one of the major ones is plastic bags. And one way that plastic bags pollute, not just in the ocean, is that when we just, let's say we're throwing them in our car, like screw the plastic bag right out the window, and it goes on the ground, and it can get into the soil and slowly release the toxic chemicals that it's made with, and they eventually break down into the soil, and animals can eat that, and they often choke and die. And one of the most harmful ways plastic hurts the environment is the ocean. And according to the EPA, 500 million plastic bags are consumed each year, and they take years to decompose, and they remain in the oceans for years. And what plastic bags do in the ocean is that they create a plastic wasteland. And not only do animals eat the plastic and they get sick and die, it's a waste of natural resources. It takes a vast number of resources, including water and energy, to manufacture and ship disposable plastic bags. And plastic bags are made from fossil fuels, and it requires 2.2 billion pounds of fossil fuel and 3.9 billion pounds of fresh water to produce the 100 billion plastic bags the US consumes each year. And the manufacturing of these bags produces a billion pounds of solid waste and 2.7 million tons of CO2 per year. Manufacturing and shipping plastic bags require even more energy and water and create more pollution than bags. Another thing I'm going to talk about is recycling. And according to the EPA, recycling is a process of collecting and processing materials that would otherwise be thrown away as trash and turning them into new products like newspapers, paper towels, aluminum, plastic, and glass and soft drink containers. And according to the survey, 100% of you guys recycle, so that's good. You don't want to do that, that's bad. And according to the EPA, harmful chemicals and greenhouse gases are released from rubbish and landfill sites. So that's where, if you don't recycle, that's where it goes. And recycling helps reduce the pollution caused by waste, and habitat destruction and global warming are some of the effects caused by when you don't recycle, and also deforestation. Recycling reduces the need for raw materials so that things like trees, air, and the environment are healthy. And the benefits of recycling include, when you recycle a bottle, it doesn't end up in the ocean, and it reduces the amount of waste that's sent to landfills and incinerators. And it conserves natural resources such as timber, water, and minerals, and it also saves energy. And recycling also prevents pollution by reducing the need to collect new raw materials, and supports American manufacturing and consumes valuable resources, and promotes a safe, clean environment. And one of the biggest things recycling does is that it creates jobs. And according to the EPA, they released the findings that on the economic benefits of recycling, There was a study done in 2017, and the study analyzes the numbers of jobs, wages, and tax revenues attributed by recycling. And the study found in a single year, recycling and reuse activities in the U.S. accounted for 757,000 jobs, 36.6 billion in wages, and 6.7 billion in revenues. This equates to 1.57 jobs, 76,000 in wages, and 14,000 in tax revenues for every 1,000 tons of material recycled. And a way to help with starting out with plastic bags is there's a movement called Bring Your Own Bag, and in their efforts, they protect the environment, save money, and they've been making the switch to reusable bags. It's kind of like a whole movement where they want a whole bunch of industries to switch to like regular bags, not like plastic bags, and away from using them. And through a combination of education and legislation, they help stop the use of plastic bags. And another thing we can do is limit the use of plastic bags. Like many people, we usually have like a supply of plastic bags in our house. And one way we can just stop the use of them is just stop using them altogether. And when we use less of them, it helps just save the environment. And another way we can do it is instead of using plastic bags in the store, a lot of stores have like bags you can buy, like giant, like those reusable bags you can just use over and over again. And I kind of get the persona that you kind of look like a schmuck if you have like one of those bags anyway. But they really help if you buy them from like the Giant and stuff, because they're a lot bigger than regular bags. You can store a lot more. And recycling, what you can do with recycling is that there are several ways you can recycle, including collecting recyclables and going to drop-off centers and deposit or refund programs. And after collection, recyclables are sent to a recovery facility, and they're cleaned and processed into materials that can be used for manufacturing. And now I'm going to talk about the long-term effects of plastic and what it does. And plastics take a while to decay, and while they do infect the water systems and their ecosystems with their toxins, which in turn make wildlife very sick, they also poison the water supply, which in turn affects us, because if we don't have water, we won't do good. And some more long-term effects of plastic is, according to BBC, they saw firsthand how discarded plastic can end up thousands of miles away and hurt the animals. And this was in Hawaii. This was traveled thousands of miles from the Atlantic all the way to Hawaii. And they saw the turtles making nests among plastic bottles, and there was also cigarette lighters and toys. And they discovered dead albatross birds, but they're a type of bird. And the chicks, the parents were feeding the chicks plastic, and in turn the chicks were dying. And the long-term effects of not recycling is that over time, with a lack of recycling, it requires us to go to other resources, which in turn forces us to harvest new materials, which is damaging to the planet. And having to constantly harvest new resources is both damaging to the environment and damaging to the economy. And one thing I want to talk about really quick is just a visual, kind of where it ends up. And what this is this is the Great Pacific Garbage Patch, and it's a big patch in the Pacific Ocean of all the trash. It's about the size of Texas. And these are just the images of that, and like the ocean there, how bad that is. And that's not the only garbage patch. There's like 3 around. And so right there's one I was talking about. There's one there, and there's one there. And thank you. God, that was horrible. That was my worst speech of the 3, I do have to say.